Race 1 at the Nürburgring, round 11 of DTM 2026, and for the second time this season, Matteo Cairoli was on pole position in the Emil Frey Racing Ferrari. A good start from the Italian, a really good start from Lucas Auer in the Landgraf Mercedes, but too deep into turn 1 meant that the Austrian ran wide, lost out to Ben Durr, and then to turn 2 he was also overtaken by Marco Wittmann in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. Conversely, an excellent start for Ben Durr in the McLaren to go from 5th straight up to 3rd place behind Preining and race leader Matteo Cairoli. Championship leader Maro Engel with the full maximum load of success ballast on his Mercedes running in 6th place. Wide moment for Nicki, Thiim, second in the championship, having qualified outside of the top 10 early in the race, and Marco Mapelli was found to be off the road. This was the reason why. Contact from behind coming from Timo, Glock, under braking on the way into turn 2. The Italian rejoined but would ultimately fail to finish the race. Nicki, Thiim then in the Aston Martin going on the attack once again, this time at the inside of Tom Kalender on the way into the Vidal chicane. Contact between the pair of them, and Mercedes taking to the grass. The Aston Martin coming from a long way back and losing part of his wing mirror on the way through. They both survived for the time being, but inevitably there will be too much of a damage to the Mercedes, and out of the race went Tom Kalender, the 19-year-old former ADAC GT Masters champion, with a disappointing retirement. Into the mandatory pit stop window then, and Ben Durr, looking to pick up his 3rd podium of the year, came in, but it wasn't the fastest pit stop from the Durr Motorsport squad, and it would cost him a few seconds. Ultimately, that would prove to cost him a podium position because the Schubert Motorsport team had done a sub 6-second pit stop for Marco Wittmann, and the two-time champion, shortly after he came back out, went ahead of the McLaren to wrestle 3rd place away from him, with Lucas Auer just behind as they continued to fight into the second half of the race. Thomas Preining coming in to make his pit stop off the back of a win and a podium last time out at the Oschersleben Arena, and Maro Engel with 20 kilograms of success ballast on board. A good pit stop, but he couldn't quite jump positions. He came out in front of Marco Wittmann, Ben Durr and Lucas Auer, but with his cold tyres went deep into turn 1. For a while fended off the McLaren of Ben Durr, but nothing he could do to prevent the McLaren charging around the outside, and then it was head-to-head with Lucas Auer. These are the drivers that finished 2nd and 3rd in last year's championship behind Ian Jaguar, teammates in the World Challenge Series, which they won together, but Auer coming through with his tyres up to temperature. Still, it would be a very good top 6 finish with the ballast for the championship leader Maro Engel. But there was no stopping Matteo Cairoli, an absolutely dominant display from the Italian. Nobody could keep up with him. Lots of action further back in the closing stages. Ricardo Feller had already had contact with Jules Gounon, sent into a spin. The Porsche driver on the comeback charge was flying at the end of the race. And Ricardo Feller, the Swiss driver, getting a really good run here to try and squeeze up the inside of Nicki, Thiim. Did just that with a great move on the way into the final corner. The Porsche getting out just ahead, staying on the road and sending the Aston Martin out wide. But the Dane was not done yet. He had a big lunge under braking on the way into turn 1. Momentarily got the place back, but ultimately was too deep into the corner, and Feller would retake 9th place almost instantaneously. Right at the end of the race on the final lap, big contact between Christian Engelhardt in the Lamborghini Temerario for Grasser Racing into the back of the Ferrari of Thierry Vermeulen for Emil Frey Racing. That was at the Vidal chicane with just a couple of corners to go. Engelhardt would end up picking up a penalty post-race for that. Both drivers retiring from the race, but still scoring points with a high rate of attrition. Matteo Cairoli, though, picking up his 3rd win of the season to close the gap to the top 4 in the championship with a great drive here at the Nürburgring.
Yes, mate. Hai fatto una gara grandissima. Bravo. Yes, well done. Quickest lap, P1, yes.
Just about the perfect drive from Matteo Cairoli. They celebrated the Swiss team, that 3rd victory of the season, much needed after a disappointing couple of rounds at the Nürburgring at Oschersleben. Thomas Preining and Marco Wittmann joining him on the podium. Ben Durr with his best result since his maiden win at the Lausitzring. Lucas Auer in 5th, Maro Engel in 6th place, and with a post-race penalty for Jules Gounon, Luca Engsler completed the top 8.